Hi, this is LT Survival. Well, today we're gonna talk why I buy so many Ganzo. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Well, as I was filming knife review, I realized that maybe you were thinking I'm going crazy doing knife review all the time, and all of them of Ganzo are Senran new. Well, you're kind of right. I might have been going crazy. I've decided a bit to collect knife. Why? Stay tuned. Well, no, I already did that. Well, I've never had folders that much. I always bought my folders as a utility I needed. EDC at that time, very long, well, quite a long time ago, wasn't that much. I mean, as a young boy, I was EDCing my hunting knife. Well, not going to school, but when I went to the woods, I always had my IXL hunting knife with me. So I always had it to use it, and never bothered having a pocket knife at that time. Then I went to the military. While in the military, I was required to have a pocket knife. We had some, like the C5, from on our belt when we had combat attire. In the Navy, we did have a couple of knives, but you had to be in trade specific to get issued. As an officer, I wasn't issued anything. We had to beg for them most of the time. So I never had a bosun knife. So I decided to buy the folder. That's my stainless steel folder. I think I have done a review on it, or show it to you anyway. And that stainless steel with the tooth on top has been staying with me on my belt pretty much all my career. As I turned to the infantry, it was on my belt also, even though I had the C5 on my combat belt at that time. So at the end of my career, I had a couple of knives, utility knife. I'm still wearing my multi-tool, which is my personal knife. Never been issued the multi-tool from the forces because they had none at that time. And I never also was issued belt knife. So I had those folders, their utility, satisfied with them, and was mostly cutting cord, using them lightly. Always had my fixed blade when I needed to do a little more than the usual. Unfortunately, I've never spent money, or never had that much money to spend on collectibles knife, or to buy expensive high-end steel knife, and I still don't have. So I resort in buying less expensive. Then came YouTube lately. So I decided to, I was planning a trip to Florida, and I decided that it would be the best opportunity to buy a new knife, knowing that in the US knife shops were abundant. Even Walmart had more knife than we have here in Canada. I don't know why. Walmart's supposed to be Walmart's supposed to be the same thing, but in Canada they carry way less stuff than in the US. And unfortunately, when you buy in Canada, the price is not just the differential in between the Canadian dollar and the American dollar, but it is also marked up either by custom, either taxes basically, or by just the importer. There's so many more people in between the distributor and between the maker and the seller that we're basically paying twice as much for the same knife. So when you say that a knife is cheap, $30 in the US, cheap in the price, I mean, $30 US. Often in Canada, it'll be more like $50 to $60 in price. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I mean, I think a number 8 from Opinel, which some people I have heard $7 knife. It's an important knife to the US. Well, we have around $10 to $12, and I've not shopped much around for an Opinel, so you're paying way more for the same thing, and it's imported from France. I mean, should cost about the same thing. Jesus, they're putting so much nail in that roof, I'm not sure it's gonna last. Anyway, air guns, air nails gun. They're putting so much nails at the same time. Anyway, that's not the subject of the video. So, when I found out about Ganzos and Cinema Mu, less than $10 or $20 knives, I was a bit skeptical, as I said, and I decided to try one. I really wanted the paramilitary look-alike, the paramilitary 2 look-alike from Ganzo, the 729, and that knife was kind of smooth. I had to break it in a bit, could flick it. I could, it was well built, factory built, sharp as crazy from the factory, and the fit and finish was perfect. Kind of got hooked at that moment, so I decided to buy some more. Well, there's a rat wine look-alike. There were other type of knives, so I started buying different knife at different different shape of blade, and there's so many of them, and when you buy on GearBest, well, you're getting points. Each time you get points, it's represent dollars, and eventually you have dollar to reduce the price of that knife. So there's a limit to which GearBest going to leave you, going to get you to buy. I think it's 15%. So you reduce your price by 15%. $3–4 a knife of a $15 knife. I mean, it's appreciated, and it reduces the price. So you buy a $25 knife and you get the $3 rebates. It's only $22, and I'm talking Canadian dollar. They do the conversion of the vice, and I've never been charged more for the price than what they tell me on the when I book the order. So basically, I'm only paying for US dollar to Canadian dollar exchange, because they trade everything in US dollar basically. So if the price fits me, buy it and get points, then I can buy a new knife and have reduction. When I do those knife review, you can submit your video as a knife review to GearBest, and if you mention where you took it and give a link in the description and in the video, then you get also a gift certificate, and that gift certificate has been right now of $5. That's pretty neat. A $5 rebate for your knife that you can use. So what they say, give me the link of the knife you want to buy. You've got 1 month, and we'll send you a specific rebate for that specific knife, which they did. They did 3 times right now. I have submitted 3 video review, and I'm submitting the one I'm filming. Every time I'm filming one and I'm posting it to YouTube, I submit it to GearBest. As you've seen, I've trying to be every Sunday a video. So I've been doing a lot of GearBest knife because I've ordered knives regularly this summer, and I've received them on a regular basis. So before putting them to use or to EDC, I'm reviewing them from the box, either with the stump or or a tabletop review for you to see. So basically I'm introducing the knife. Later on next year maybe I'll come back and tell you how they're performing, how the reshape of the reshaping, but the resharpening will be. But that is my problem, and I've already resharpened one knife, my girl's 727, basically the shape of the rat one. The 727 she used to cut foam mats, tiles, and she's doing LARPing, so she wanted to make a costume with foam pads, and she did. And she used her knife because it was cutting better, and she had better control on the blade, because instead of a utility knife which has pretty much flexible blades. And she came to me, and it was a little dull. Was still cutting, but I mean paper cut would have been difficult, and it was easy to resharpen on my very fine stone by hand. Took me about 5 minutes, and I resharpened also my Sanran New, this one that you will see in one of the reviews, 723, this 7823, and I resharpened this one also on the same stone. So this one is a 8CR13, basically 440C. So these company that I'm buying from, Ganzo, Sanran, shortly it's going to be Anlan also. There's Navy, there's Harns, not sure how they pronounce it, and one or two others on GearBest. Not sure I'm going to try them all, but Ganzo's, Anlan, they've got a couple of models I'm kind of a favored too, so I'm going to check them out. And they have colors. I mean, sometimes you buy high-end knife and they don't have any colors beside the one that comes out. So it pleases me, and it's not too expensive. Of course, I could buy one $200 knife or buy $10-20 knife. The decision is there, and it's easier to pass 10 knives than one knife at $200. The missus kind of don't like me to spending $200 on one shot, but 10 knives, she gets some, so it's easier to budget, it's easier to pass. So that's the reason why I went so crazy on Ganzo's. It's not that I didn't like knives before. I always like knife. I have a couple of fixed blade I've bought since those two I bought in Florida, and that was kind of the turning point. I needed more capable blades than the one I had, so that's why I decided to buy more blades, and also they're fun. It's fun to hone blades, and you can use, and people like that, to see that, and they must be their user for me. So it's going to be I'm going to be EDCing most of them. I might alternate a couple of them, but it is fun to collect. It is fun to have those knives. They're impressive. I'm really happy. It doesn't mean I'm not going to make the step and go buy a higher price knife. It just means that if I really like the shape of one that I have in Ganzo, I might eventually consider getting the higher hand one. Of course, if that knife is also made in China, and some of them, you've got Spyderco made in China, the budget ones from Spyderco, you've got Kershaw made in China, you've got things CRKT that are made in China. Then you're getting the same workmanship from Ganzo to those. Yes, the spec from those companies would be 8CR13 or a S35V type steel, but then if you are getting basically the quality of the Chinese knife anyway. You can buy from an American supplier, you can buy from a Chinese supplier. What I'm trying not to do is buy clone. Ganzo are inspired by kind of a clone, but sometimes they have access lock where the clone would have a frame lock or a liner lock. So is it a clone? Yes, it is, but it doesn't infringe the trademark in the sense of cloning the markings, the box, and everything. At least they put their own name on it, their own number. They don't refer to them as the Rat One. They won't sell you a false Rat One, saying it's a Rat One and having the stamps on the steel, a Oz 8, while it's 440C. So I think you have a better quality buying self-brand inspired by Ganzos than buying those clones that you find very cheap, AliExpress type, where you don't know it's a clone. Well, you know by the price, but you don't know really that you're getting a clone. That way, if we favor Ganzo on his own trademark, maybe they'll get exclusive model. They've got designer, and I've seen on some of the other channel designer type exclusive blades. So that could be an option also. Sometimes they are really not inspired by anybody. They're really exclusive design, and they're not that expensive. They're more expensive. They'll be on higher hand line. I think which is the name, Real Steel would be either San Ranu or Ganzo's iron hand. I'm not sure which one of the two. San Ranu is reputed to do the Spider Crows. Is that the Spider Crows, I think? Or is it the Ganzo that produce? Anyway, those factory were already producing some of those major league knife, and they decided to go and make their own brand and be inspired by what they were doing before, so which is easy for them because they were already making them. So, well, enough rambling with like my friend Brian would say, from Survival on Purpose. That was to clarify why I went so crazy. It happens to me once in a while. I mean, I did a video where I went crazy. I bought Chinese for all kinds of AliExpress order. That too, I mean, I don't mind. That burner from like that little stove I have is working fine. It worked fine every time I wanted to use it. And when it's gonna break, I'm gonna buy another one, or I'm gonna buy a second one, put in the truck, in my ready kit in the truck, and it's not that bad. I mean, I'm spending $8–10 on the stove, and we're, instead of spending $99 on the cheapest one I can find in town. So for $8 I can buy 10, or I can buy 12, 14 to equate the same price of an MSR. So that's good. I'm gonna have more stove and put them away, and it's gonna be easier to do. So that's the reasoning behind that craziness of collecting. I wasn't very much of a collector when I was young, but I like nice things. Always wanted to have katana. Never did, because I wanted a real one. I wanted a sharp one, and they're a bitch to buy because they cost a bundle. So to end this video, and hopefully you like this rambling, I really recommend you look up Ganzo. They're a nice brand. San Renu also does some nice little knife, they're using more like the HCR13 type steel, but they also use other type which might be a little more stronger than the HCR13. So if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, subscribe and share, and we'll see you in the next one. Using a utility knife, so the she decided to. I'm doing an update video right here, so I'm gonna do that video for sure. This is gonna be an update video. I'm gonna review the knife. I'm gonna start over again, I guess. Okay, let's start over again.